At 10, Tropical Storm Isaac is on the way to the Gulf Coast. Find out if it will have an effect on West Alabama. Plus, a truck fire on the interstate has brought traffic to a crawl. We will show you where.
And we, in fact, have the latest updates on Tropical Storm Isaac, and I'll let you know where it's headed coming up in Home Team Weather.
And the Tuscaloosa City Schools are considering expanding their list of international baccalaureate schools. We will show you which schools could see the change. The News at 10 begins now.
You're watching Alabama's WVUA News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Tamika Alexander. We begin tonight with a truck fire that is blocking traffic on Interstate 59, and cars are backed up for miles. That is tonight's top story. WVUA's Bradley Whittington is on the scene and joins us now on the phone with more. Bradley, what can you tell us?
Well, Tamika, right now what we know is an 18-wheeler caught on fire on a bridge near exit 79 on northbound Interstate 2059. Hazmat teams were sent out to the scene to investigate the unknown material on the vehicle. The trailer had California license plates. They later learned that the materials were not hazardous. Officials say the driver was not harmed. The interstate is currently closed in the northbound lane. Right now, they're trying to clear what traffic remains off of the interstate, and as soon as traffic is cleared, they are then going to bring in the tow trucks, and officials say it's going to take some time to remove the truck because it was severely damaged. The cab and the trailer were both damaged in the fire, but they say they're going to work as hard as they can to remove the truck from Interstate 2059. Reporting live in Cottondale, Bradley Whittington, WVUA News.
Thanks, Bradley. Switching gears to the weather, Tropical Storm Isaac is on its way to the Gulf Coast, but will it affect us here in West Alabama? Let's go and get a first check on Alabama's home team forecast. Daniel Sparkman joins us now with more. Daniel, what is the weather looking like? It seems like this thing changes every day.
Well, Tamika, it has been changing every day, but I guess unfortunately for us here in West Alabama, it's been trending more towards Alabama. In fact, here is the latest update on Tropical Storm Isaac, right now just to the south of the island of Hispaniola and moving directly toward the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to encounter, of course, some islands on its path. I'll put it into motion here as we see that the sustained winds now up to 45 miles per hour. I'll put it in motion. It's going to encounter Cuba, but then it's going to go across the Florida Straits and become a hurricane at some point during the day and Sunday into Monday. And then, as you can see right here, the latest update from the National Hurricane Center showing it impacting us right here in Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and some models have it going right up towards Mobile and Biloxi. So we'll definitely have to watch this in the days ahead, and we'll keep you updated throughout the week. And I'll have your full forecast coming up, Tamika.
Thanks, Daniel. Thousands of people will head to Tampa, Florida next week for the Republican National Convention. But if a major storm also visits the city, what happens to all those flights? Officials at the Tampa airport tell Sandra Endo they're keeping a watchful eye on Isaac.
Virginia Delegate Matt Hurt isn't going to let bad weather keep him from his first convention.
I'm ready to go. Storm or no storm, I'm planning on making my flight Sunday morning.
He'll be joining some 50,000 people expected to be flying into Tampa.
I've packed an extra umbrella, a couple of jackets just to make sure. It would definitely be my first tropical storm.
Right now, the major airlines are monitoring the storm from their operations centers, like this one at Delta headquarters in Atlanta. The airlines we talked to say it's still too early to know what impact, if any, the storm could have on flights. This far out, Isaac's path is too unpredictable.
Right now, no indications of any canceled flights to Tampa, but if this track does turn back to the east, running this storm over Tampa, certainly there would be cancellations.
The storm is churning in the Caribbean now, and airlines are allowing passengers to change their flights for free if they're flying to impacted islands. That waiver would be extended to Tampa travelers if the weather gets messy there. And if that happens, it's bound to be more complicated because so many travelers are heading there at the same time. Airlines could also add extra flights or use larger planes to move people out of Tampa before the storm hits. Janet Zink with the Tampa airport says if the storm comes, they are ready.
We've been through this before. It does not completely paralyze us. It might shut down the airport for a little while or stop flights for a while. But as I said, we're very used to dealing with this.
Regardless of the potential storm, Matt Hurt is determined to ride it out.
What's your message to Mother Nature?
That's a great question. Bring it on. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's do this.
And that was Sandra Endo reporting. So far, there are no plans to postpone the Republican National Convention. Well, school principals and the Tuscaloosa City School Board are working together to ensure the Tuscaloosa magnet schools are authorized as an international baccalaureate program. But did tonight's talks lead to a school board commitment? Travis Leader joins us now with more. So will the magnet schools become part of the program, Travis?
Well, it's all but a certainty, Tamika. The school board superintendent and the two principals of the magnet schools had constructive talks about what needs to happen for the schools to join Central High as participants in the International Baccalaureate program. But there are still a few issues before younger school system students can participate in this global learning environment.
The Tuscaloosa City School Board is showing support to the Tuscaloosa Magnet Schools' hopes to join the International Baccalaureate Program, or IB for short. The program is meant to place these participating schools in a global standard.
These are the same standards that IB schools all over the world have for their children. So a child in Singapore in first grade would be learning many of the same things that a child in Alabama in first grade is.
And the principals of the magnet schools say this will help their students prepare for life in a 21st century world.
They are certainly well prepared in understanding what the cultures of the world are, what the global economics would be, what their competition is as a citizen of the world, not just your own state.
There are some issues, though, that need to be worked out. One problem is the magnet schools program only goes to 8th grade, and the IB program at Central High begins at 11th.
They know that is the situation, so the board would make those decisions as to whether they add 9 and 10 to the offerings here in Tuscaloosa.
Another concern the principals have is whether they would have the proper staffing, and Burkhalter believes Superintendent McKendrick and the Tuscaloosa City School Board will ensure they jump over this last hurdle.
The last thing we need to become a worldwide primary years program is the art, the music, and the Spanish year-round. And so he was saying, we're willing to give you what you need to become authorized.
The principals hope to have everything submitted for authorization by this fall. The board addressed a few solutions to the program's 2-year gap. One suggestion proposed by Ernestine Tucker is to bring the 9th grade program to the magnet school. Tamika?
Thanks, Travis. The cost of a college education is going up, and so is student loan debt. But there are options for those looking to further their education on a budget. Classes at Shelton State Community College in Tuscaloosa start Monday. Shelton's Dean of Students says if you're on a budget, a community college can be a good option. In fact, Shelton State shifted their calendar this year to start after classes at the university in order to pick up UA students wanting to add to their course load. On your election watch, the Northport mayoral candidates are gearing up for a forum, and they had that forum tonight, and it was held by the League of Women Voters. The candidates include current Mayor Bobby Herndon, former Northport Mayor Harvey Fretwell, Frank Chandler, and Robert Thomas. The candidates spoke for 2 hours so the public could become acquainted with them. They were also asked questions about local issues, and voters could hear what they had to say. Kenneth Walters, a voter, says he wants to see the Northport mayor take more action.
Too many bucks get passed to the next person over here with the type form of government we got, and I'd like to see this new council support. It don't take but 3 votes to change this. This is not by a public referendum. 3 people on that council can change the form of government and put the responsibility into the elected officials where it needs to be, not appointed administrator.
Voters in the city of Northport head to the polls on Tuesday. Now to the latest on the West Nile outbreak. Federal health officials say the virus is one of the largest in the U.S. with 4 times the usual number of cases for this time of year. The Centers for Disease Control says beyond setting a record for this time of year, cases seem to be accelerating with about 400 cases being reported in the last week. So far, there's just 1 case reported in Tuscaloosa County. A doctor in Northport says 20% of people infected suffer from mild symptoms such as fever, aches, and nausea, but 80% never show any symptoms. The rise in cases as people stocking up on insect repellent. One doctor tells us even when someone has West Nile, the virus does not act how doctors expect.
In most things in medicine, you know, when you hear hoofbeats, you think of horses, not zebras. And so West Nile is definitely a zebra. And this just happens to be an unusual year because the circumstances are right.
I have people buying insecticides geared towards killing multiple insects that also kill mosquitoes. And then I've got, of course, mosquito-specific products to put in standing water that gives residual killing effects.
Experts think the mild winter, early spring, and very hot summer help stimulate mosquito breeding and the spread of the virus. Mosquitoes pick up the virus from birds and then spread it to people. Alabama Athletics Director Mal Moore is out of the hospital after being admitted because of an irregular heartbeat. Coach Moore's doctor says all the tests performed on him came back negative and his prognosis is good. The doctor had said admitting him to the hospital was a precautionary measure. Coach Moore had been in the hospital since Tuesday. Well, several people gathered in Newport tonight to help raise money for a good cause. The Tuscaloosa chapter of the Coastal Conservation Association held a silent auction at the New Cypress Inn Pavilion in Northport. The event raised money for projects taking place in the Gulf Coast. Some of the items sold include paintings, coolers, and fishing rods. Travis Taylor with CCA says they will use the money from this event for projects including coastal cleanup conservation.
We work a little bit with the fisheries to try to work on size limits, bag limits, things like that. We build reefs, we build oyster beds, we redo a lot of things on the coast, but our main goal is just to keep that resource in play for our kids and our grandkids to enjoy.
The CCA also auctioned off a 3-hour Gulf Coast cruise for 8 people. Well, on your crime watch, police officers need your help locating some suspects who attempted to break into a business. Investigators say the suspects didn't get anything, but they still want to know who they are, and the surveillance video is rather interesting. Northport police say it all happened in the 2800 block of McFarland Boulevard. You can see the suspects checking out the business, trying to get in. Then they decide to form some type of human chain to attempt to get into the business. Now, if you have any information on the suspects seen in this video, you can call Crime Stoppers. Their number is there on your screen, 205-752-STOP. Your confidential call could lead to a cash reward.